Well, someone who has been following closely the Donald Trump case is New York Post columnist Miranda Devine. Let's hear from her now. Miranda, Donald Trump was asked not to incite violence during his speech, but hasn't Alvin Bragg done this? Isn't it on his head if there is violence and rioting?
Well, look, there's not going to be violence. That's sort of a rancid lie that's spun by the Democrat media and Joe Biden against Trump supporters. There's not violence, there wasn't violence, and there's not going to be violence. In fact, the sort of offending tweet that everyone's been talking about and that the prosecutors handed up to the judge today was a link to a story. The story that Donald Trump had linked to had a photograph of Donald Trump with a baseball bat that was taken back when he was president and juxtaposed alongside a photograph of the DA, Alvin Bragg. So it wasn't that Donald Trump was threatening harm to Alvin Bragg, the district attorney. It's just that he tweeted a link to a story that had that embedded in it. He really didn't do what he was accused of doing, which was to overtly threaten the prosecutor. And I thought his speech tonight, he was defending himself against these numerous prosecutions across the country that are going on. It's a very flimsy, incomplete indictment today. It's ironic that that's the charge, considering that we know so much now about how the Biden campaign in cahoots with the FBI, the intelligence community, and big tech conspired to bury the Hunter Biden laptop. And if that wasn't interference with the 2020 election, I don't know what was.
Miranda, there have been a lot of legal experts who've spoken out today. Do you think the case that Alvin Bragg has outlined here actually does amount to criminal conduct?
Not at all. What we've seen is a bunch of bookkeeping irregularities that would be misdemeanors, that in New York would be 2 years statute of limitations, which we're talking about something that happened in 2017, and then to elevate it to a felony, it would be this other as yet unnamed charge. And it's really ironic that the charge against Donald Trump is that he was somehow paid this hush money, or his lawyer, Michael Cohen, paid this hush money, and then Donald Trump repaid him. And that in so doing, he was interfering with the 2016 election. But these payments were made in 2017 when Donald Trump was in the Oval Office. He was already president. The trial date that the prosecutors asked for this particular New York indictment is January next year, which is exactly when the Republican primaries start. So this is election interference.
Miranda, you've extensively reported on the business and other corrupt dealings of Joe and Hunter Biden. Why are prosecutors not going after them as well? Surely this means the justice system is politicised, because only Trump seems to be being pursued here.
Well, I mean, prosecutors are supposed to be investigating Hunter Biden. The problem is that the U.S. attorney in Delaware has been going through this process since 2018, and still there's been no indictment. They've had numerous grand juries. We know that because some of Hunter Biden's former business partners have testified at them, but still nothing. And, before too long, we're going to butt up against the 2024 election, during which time, prosecutors and U.S. attorneys will often stop the clock so as not to be seen to interfere with an election. This is what the Hunter Biden investigation did, in fact, before the 2020 election. They just paused everything. They used the excuse of COVID, they used the excuse of the election, but they're just running out the clock, it seems, so that they don't have to do anything. But, in the meantime, you have, now that the Republicans have taken back the House, you have some pretty serious evidence is coming out just in this very early period that shows wrongdoing and corruption on the part of Joe Biden's family.
It's part of the issue in the United States that figures like Alvin Bragg are elected politically, unlike in Australia. So we saw that Alvin Bragg ran on a political platform of getting Trump. You've got prosecutors who are political figures, unlike in Australia where they're completely free from politics.
That's such a great question, Sharri, and it's what goes through my mind every day here. It's really doesn't work to have these district attorneys, these prosecutors be elected officials. They're partisan politically just by design. And Alvin Bragg is a perfect case in point. He was funded by an outfit, a left-wing outfit that had been funded by George Soros to the tune of $1 million. And he campaigned during his campaign to get Trump many times. He boasted about the previous work he'd done to try and go after Donald Trump and his businesses. That was a big part of his campaign platform. And the first thing he did when he got into office was downgrade felonies in this already crime-ridden city to make it easier for criminals, violent criminals, to get off and not to go to jail. And so as the city gets more dangerous, as Alvin Bragg's policies mean that people, violent criminals, are never held accountable, he's also going after bookkeeping irregularities of Donald Trump. And it's, you know, it's so political. It's not even political to say it's political. It's just obvious. It doesn't matter whether you like Donald Trump or not. And a lot of people hate it.